The broken shore has been so restored right now that it resembles Val'sharah more so than any other zone. The withered are being rehabbed in Suramar. Dalaran before destruction held up some interesting artifacts that might now be lost. Val'sharah was entirely cleansed, the world tree was destroyed, Vault of the Wardens is operational once again. These are just some of the recent updates, and none of this is speculation whatsoever, as a brand new book was just released exploring Azeroth Isles, which goes zone by zone, giving us all the updates to the entirety of the Legion areas. It is set right before the War Within, and this is the first major lore update to all of these areas that are now entirely different. So let us go zone by zone, let's cover all the updates that we have received, because there is so much to talk about. If you guys want to buy Total War, Elder Scrolls, or any other game, you can get them at great prices with my Gamivo link. You can also get anything Warcraft related, gift cards and software, and all below market prices. Best of all, if you add my code DORON, you can get an even bigger discount, so make sure to check out my link in the description and get some amazing deals with Gamivo. So I have actually made this exact video about a year ago, and at the time it was all based on the little hints we had gotten over the years with some quest lines, some NPC dialogues and such, but overall it was loosely supported by evidence, it was heavily leaning on speculation. However, like a week or two back, we actually got the book itself where Lortimer and Talysra are traveling on a honeymoon to a bunch of isles over Azeroth, and they visit the entirety of the Broken Isles, all the zones, and we get pretty much all the needed conclusions and what is currently going on with these zones, and there have legit been a ton of changes, which you would imagine is only natural because we were there like a decade ago. A gigantic invasion of the Burning Legion was happening at this time, and this was like the epicenter, so literally at the time everything was a mess. Now all of that calmed down and it is so different. So based on the book itself, it seems to be happening around the end of Dragonflight, a little bit before the War Within, so there might even be more changes now that we are going into the World Soul Saga, because it's been about a year or two, but nonetheless it is a night and day difference however you look at it. So without just yapping further, let's actually go zone by zone and let's see what is going on. A really interesting one to start with is Suramar itself, the zone and the actual city. So as you may know, Suramar was this sheltered area of the Nightborn that collaborated with the Legion, and now the city itself is entirely free. We know that since the Legion, it has re-expanded beyond the edges we had previously known, so it is bigger than it was back in the game, and that giant dome is gone. The Nightborn to this day are still getting used to living without the dome. They still think the entire night and day cycle is weird, and that the fact that weather exists is weird as well. Like, they still marvel that rain is actually a thing. Talysra is far too traumatized to keep living in Suramar, as it reminds her of all the sacrifices that happened there and how much they lost, but nonetheless she is optimistic about the future. Interesting enough, we learned that after they had joined us, they decided to become warlocks and to expand more into that sort of class things. However, the most interesting change in my opinion are the withered, that you may remember were nearly dying out back in the day. This was a major story point. It's not fully explained what the cure is and what is happening, but we know there are big efforts to actually rehabilitate them, and they're actually working on slowly getting them back on track and reintegrating them into their society. So from the Suramar side of things, these are the juiciest bits, but we had gotten even more surprising information about Val'sharah. You might remember the story from Legion, but this was the Emerald Dreamlike Zone that was heavily corrupted by the Nightmare, and a lot of bad things happened there. The center of the zone was the World Tree Shaladrasil that we just learned was actually planted after the Sundering, which has been previously vague for a while. However, Val'sharah has gone through a massive, and I mean massive, transformation. The book confirms that the entire zone was fully uncorrupted and healed from the Nightmare. It no longer exists at all in the zone itself. Unfortunately though, the World Tree Shaladrasil is gone beyond repair, and it is just a completely dead husk, and as far as we know, there is no way to revive it. The entire zone though is like something out of the Emerald Dream now, and if you visited it for the first time post-Legion, you wouldn't even recognize what is going on. We've learned that the Dream Grove is fully healed and healthy, the Temple of Balloon is now entirely operational again and it has been repaired. We learned that the Black Rook Hold is now fully empty of all the spirits, no longer as haunted, and the Brandons Brook, the Gilnean village, is also fully functional. People are living there and they're even expanding their trade with the local Night Elves. So realistically, Val'sharah is one of the biggest success stories post-Legion. Close by, we got Azsuna, which out of all the zones didn't get a massive transformation, but nonetheless, a lot of things changed. For example, the Azeroth Repos is now a vacation spot that is often visited, and the blue dragons come from time to time as well. The Court of Wardens still exists, it isn't a mess that it was back during Legion, and the Nightborn are putting a lot of effort to fully break the curse that is surrounding the place. The Nautilus Academy actually functions as an academy now, despite how eerie it is, and we know there are actual Nightborn that are studying there. The Eye of Val'sharah close by is now just a regular beach cove, and all the Naga are gone. As far as we know, there is no presence of the Naga whatsoever, because they're probably going to come back once again together with Val'sharah, but probably void empowered. Most interestingly in regards to Azsuna though, is that the vault of the Wardens is actually fully operational once again. It has been contained and repaired, and the Wardens themselves are once again guarding the prisons. Interesting enough, they're all professional and strictly business oriented, so they really don't give us much information as to what is going on inside the facility itself, but we know it is back on track. However, now let's get to the most interesting bit of information in my opinion, and that is the fabled Broken Shore, where we lost so many characters. So we've actually learned that it has been fully and totally transformed, like a crazy night and day difference. Druids and shamans have healed all the fell corruption that was there, so it's no longer around like it's been fully healed. The water is clear, streams are running, plants are starting to cover the ground, and the air itself smells alive. It's not exactly Val'sharah yet, but it is on the road to get there. Deliverance Point is now an outpost that is being used by the Kirin Tor for visitors. Tomb of Sageras, however, hasn't been fully unblighted yet. Some corruption is still there and will be for quite some time. As you may remember, like, this was the center of the invasion. However, we've learned that the Echo of Agewind actually permanently lives within the Tomb of Sageras, and a cleansing process is ongoing with Wardens watching over it. Personally, I was honestly expecting the Broken Shore would be gone for good, like gone beyond repair, but looks like the transformation that has happened is just out of this world. In regards to Dalaran, the book talks about how it is a nice place to live, which means this is happening pre-war within, but we've gotten information that the Pillars of Creation were actually moved from the tomb and into Dalaran, which is actually going to potentially be a massive problem, as we've already learned in the War Within patches that a lot of artifacts were scattered and stolen by the Nerubians, like the Mana Bomb for example, which we had to personally recover. So this could potentially be something that Xal'atath might be after, and what she might have stolen already. In regards to Stormheim, Odin is still around, he doesn't want any visitors, and I feel like they're slowly setting him up as a villain, seeing how much we're learning about the Titans being evil, and at this point it isn't even being a speculation, like the Titans are definitely evil. However, the Storm Drakes from Stormheim still live there, and they're no longer subjugated by the Vrykul, but nonetheless a lot of them have moved to live to the Dragon Isles, so their presence in Stormheim isn't as numerous. Highmountain has seen some big changes as well. The local Vrykul are no longer hostile to the outsiders, and the areas that were defiled by Helya have been entirely cleansed, and all the undead that we previously ran into have been put to rest, so the zone itself is quite different and it is quite safe. Riverben has been fully rebuilt and the Drog-Body relationship has been mended. However, we've also learned that something is going on with Neltharion's lair, which hasn't been fully revealed, but seeing that Xal'atath took this Dark Heart and all the artifacts, we might make this relevant once again, and maybe Xal'atath did something here without us knowing anything. Overall though, big changes have been made to the entirety of the Broken Isles. The book itself also covers a bunch of the other isles as well that I will cover in different videos. However, seeing how different it is and all the various revamped hints, they might even rebuild like physically some of these zones if we get some sort of fast features that will lead us to the Broken Isles. I could definitely see some of the Broken Isles being relevant to at least some minor patch in the World Soul Saga, at least one zone, for example the Broken Shore itself. Honestly, I think it is highly unlikely that we'll get a massive revamp, at least in the World Soul Saga, of the entire island, but we could be getting some isolated actual updates. Thank you for watching. Check out the possibility of a Tinker class coming soon by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Perron and Select Mythology by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time!